In the grand narrative of global exploration, few individuals stand out as boldly as Zheng He, the Muslim admiral who led some of the most ambitious naval expeditions in world history. Born into a humble Muslim family in 14th century China, Zheng He would rise to command fleets that dwarfed anything seen before or since. His voyages across the Indian Ocean, decades before European explorers ventured far beyond their shores, revealed the height of China's maritime power and left a lasting legacy that intertwined Islam, Chinese statecraft and diplomacy. Zheng He was born in 1371 in Kunyang, located in China's Yunnan province. His family belonged to the Hui ethnic group, a Chinese Muslim community that had descended from Arab and Persian traders and soldiers who had integrated into Chinese society over centuries. His birth name was He, and his family was known for its religious devotion. His father and grandfather had reportedly performed the Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca. A sacred duty for practicing Muslims and Islamic values played a central role in his upbringing. However, He's life took a dramatic and painful turn at the age of 11, when Ming dynasty forces reconquered Yunnan. Captured by imperial troops, the young He was castrated and forced into service as a eunuch in the court of the Ming prince, who would later become the Yongle emperor. Despite the trauma of his early years, He displayed remarkable intelligence, resilience, and leadership qualities. He gained the favor of the prince, and when his patron ascended the throne in 1402, He was given the new name Zheng He and was appointed to lead one of the most extraordinary undertakings in Chinese imperial history. Between 1405 and 1433, Zheng He commanded 7 massive naval expeditions that sailed through the South China Sea, across the Indian Ocean, and as far as the eastern coast of Africa. These journeys, collectively known as the Ming Treasure Voyages, represented an unparalleled projection of Chinese maritime power. At their peak, Zheng He's fleets comprised over 300 ships and more than 28,000 men. The ships included massive treasure vessels, believed to be over 120 meters in length, making them the largest wooden ships ever built. These vessels carried Chinese silks, porcelain, tea, and other precious goods intended for trade, as well as diplomatic envoys, soldiers, and interpreters to manage complex interactions with foreign rulers. Zheng He's voyages took him to dozens of ports in Southeast Asia, South Asia, the Persian Gulf, the Arabian Peninsula, and the eastern coast of Africa. His armada docked in places such as Java, Malacca, Calicut, Hormuz, Aden, and Mogadishu. In every location, Zheng He carried out the Ming Emperor's orders to establish diplomatic relations, promote trade, and assert Chinese prestige. He brought with him not only goods and gifts, but also letters of friendship and power, reinforcing the Ming dynasty's image as the dominant force of the known world. Zheng He's Muslim faith played a pivotal role in shaping the nature and success of his voyages. While serving a Confucian empire, Zheng He remained faithful to Islam. His exposure to Muslim-majority ports and Islamic communities enabled him to engage in diplomatic exchanges with deep cultural sensitivity. During his voyages, Zheng He visited mosques and Islamic centers, and it is believed that he stopped in Jeddah, the gateway to Mecca. Some scholars even suggest that he may have performed the Hajj pilgrimage himself, like his father before him. In China, Zheng He was known to have contributed to the renovation of the Jingzhui Mosque in Nanjing, one of the oldest mosques in the country. His commitment to his faith is also reflected in his activities overseas, where he built and supported mosques in regions such as Indonesia and Malaysia. In areas like Malacca and Java, Zheng He became a revered figure, not just as a Chinese official but as a pious Muslim who helped spread Islamic teachings and protected Muslim communities along the trade routes. Today, shrines and tombs dedicated to him are visited by Muslims and non-Muslims alike in parts of Southeast Asia, a testament to his spiritual and diplomatic impact. The goals of Zheng He's expeditions were multifaceted. At their core, the voyages were an extension of the Ming Emperor's desire to legitimize his rule and assert Chinese dominance across the seas. Having come to power through civil war, the Yongle Emperor used the expeditions to project strength and secure the loyalty of distant regions. Zheng He's journeys also facilitated the establishment of a tributary system in which foreign rulers recognized the superiority of the Chinese emperor in exchange for imperial gifts, protection, and status. This system brought dozens of foreign dignitaries to China, many of whom presented tribute and paid homage to the Ming court. Beyond political goals, the voyages also had economic and cultural dimensions. They opened new trade routes and strengthened commercial ties with key trading centers across Asia and Africa. The ships carried Chinese goods that were highly prized abroad, and in return the fleet brought back exotic items such as spices, pearls, perfumes, rare animals like giraffes and zebras, and valuable metals. These exchanges enriched Chinese knowledge, diversified its economy, and reinforced its position as a hub of global civilization. Zheng He's leadership style was remarkable for its diplomacy and restraint. Unlike later European explorers who often used conquest and colonization to expand their reach, Zheng He's missions were largely peaceful. He relied on gifts, negotiation, and mutual respect to achieve his objectives. There were a few instances of military engagement, such as in Sri Lanka, where a local ruler challenged the authority of the Ming dynasty, but these were exceptions rather than the norm. Zheng He's voyages emphasized respect for sovereignty, religious tolerance, and cultural exchange. The death of Zheng He, sometime shortly after his final voyage in 1433, marked the end of an era in Chinese history. His passing coincided with the death of his imperial patron, and together, these events led to a dramatic reversal in China's foreign policy. Influential Confucian scholars, who had long viewed the voyages as costly and extravagant, convinced the imperial court to dismantle the fleet, abandon the shipyards, and prohibit maritime exploration. As a result, China, which had once led the world in naval technology and international diplomacy, turned inward and entered a prolonged period of isolation. This retreat from the seas had profound consequences. While China closed its doors to the world, European nations were beginning their own age of exploration. Over the next century, Portugal and Spain would chart new routes to Africa, Asia, and the Americas, reshaping global trade and political power. In contrast, the ships of Zheng He were allowed to rot, and many records of his voyages were destroyed. China, once the maritime leader of the world, had voluntarily relinquished its role. Despite this, Zheng He's legacy endured. In later centuries, he became a figure of folklore and legend among overseas Chinese and Muslim communities. In the modern era, the Chinese government has reclaimed Zheng He as a symbol of the country's historical engagement with the world. Museums, monuments, and educational programs now celebrate his achievements. In cities such as Nanjing, Semarang, and Malacca, his name is honored in festivals and public spaces. For many Muslims, Zheng He represents a model of devout faith combined with global ambition, someone who harmonized religious identity with service to a non-Muslim state without compromise. Historians today consider Zheng He one of the greatest navigators of all time. His voyages remain unmatched in scale, coordination, and vision. They demonstrate what peaceful exploration and diplomacy can achieve, and they serve as a reminder that global history is not the story of one civilization alone. Long before Columbus crossed the Atlantic or Vasco da Gama rounded the Cape of Good Hope, Zheng He had already charted the seas, brought together distant peoples, and created a model of cooperation over conquest. Zheng He's life also challenges conventional narratives about Islam and China. At a time when cultural and religious divisions are often emphasized, his example shows how a Muslim could rise to great power in a non-Muslim empire, command respect across continents, and serve as a bridge between worlds. His dual identity as a devout Muslim and a loyal servant of the Chinese emperor enabled him to act with compassion, integrity, and vision. Whether praying in mosques along the Indian Ocean or negotiating with kings and sultans, Zheng He remained true to his values while embracing the diversity of the world. Zheng He's legacy is not confined to the pages of Chinese history or Islamic heritage. It belongs to the world. His voyages illustrate the heights that human ambition, guided by faith and diplomacy, can reach. As China once again asserts its global presence, and as the Muslim world reclaims its historical contributions to science, trade, and diplomacy, Zheng He stands as a timeless figure, a sailor, a statesman, and a servant of peace whose story continues to inspire across oceans and generations. If you enjoyed this video, you'll love what's next. We have made several videos on this topic. Click the playlist on your screen to dive into more content. May Allah bless you.